This is Inside Indiana Business Radio for the morning of Thursday, March 13th, 2025. I'm Alex Brown. Fort Wayne-based Vera Bradley has signed an agreement to sell its Pura Vida business, the company announced in its fiscal fourth quarter earnings report Wednesday. CEO Jackie Ardrey said the move is part of the company's long-term revitalization effort known as Project Restoration and allows Vera Bradley to focus more on its legacy name-brand products.
The sale of Pura Vida represents a significant step in our strategic evolution. We expect to close this sale by the end of the first quarter.
Financial details of the sale, as well as the name of the buyer, were not disclosed. The city of Valparaiso is halting all efforts toward exploring a proposed data center on land that had been purchased for a sports complex. Mayor John Costas made the announcement Tuesday, a day after the city council heard hours of public comment against the proposal. Residents cited a number of concerns, including noise, power and water consumption, and the impact on property values. A new ranking released by the National Academy of Inventors shows Purdue University remains in the top 10 in the world for U.S. utility patents. The university is ranked number 7 with 213 patents from the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office in 2024. Indiana University also made the list, ranked at number 93. From the number one source for Indiana business news, this is Inside Indiana Business Radio.
To succeed, you need to stay informed. You need to be engaged. And let's face it, you need to set yourself apart from the rest by connecting with a company that brings you the best. Because in today's environment, business is an ever-moving target, and we'll help you chase it. IBJ Media. The best of business is in us. Get started at ibjmedia.com/youngprofessional.
Indiana's Public Retirement Oversight Committee has selected State Street Global Advisors to replace BlackRock, Inc. IIB's Mark Mazurek has more.
BlackRock was removed as an asset manager after the state found it participated in socially conscious investment practices. However, Boston-based State Street also has been criticized and is currently being sued by Indiana and a host of other states for using environmental, social, and governance, or ESG, investment practices. In recent months, State Street has distanced itself from such commitments. State Street is the world's fourth largest asset manager and will take over the state's global inflation-linked bond portfolio and already manages Indiana's global fixed income assets. The Board of Trustees for the Indiana Public Retirement System announced its selection during its February 28th meeting. A statement from the INPRS did not directly address questions from our partners at the IBJ about State Street's past ESG-aligned actions, the active lawsuit, or how State Street's practices differ in any way from BlackRock. Indiana passed a law in 2023 directing the INPRS board to refrain from making investments with the purpose of, quote, influencing any social or environmental policy or attempting to influence the governance of any corporation for non-financial purposes. So far, BlackRock is the first and only retirement manager the state has dropped to comply with the law. If an asset manager is removed, the law requires the board to find a compatible anti-ESG replacement. State Street, UBS, and Northern Trust were identified as comparable managers to BlackRock, according to presentation slides. I'm Mark Mazurek for Inside Indiana Business Radio.
A Northeast Indiana orthopedic medical practice has sued an Allen County doctor for breach of contract, alleging that he violated the terms of his employment agreement by providing services at a nearby facility shortly after leaving the practice. Fort Wayne Orthopedics filed the lawsuit against Dr. Michael Rosen on March 3rd. The practice and Rosen entered into an employment agreement in August 2019. It included a provision that for 1 year following termination of his employment with the practice, Rosen would agree to not provide orthopedic medical services within 25 miles of any location where he provided services under the employment agreement. The practice is seeking a preliminary injunction against Rosen while the lawsuit is pending, as well as a permanent injunction against any future breaches of the agreement. Larry Hall, the chief curator of the Jim Irsay Collection, is this week's guest on the Business and Beyond podcast with Gary Dick, presented by PNC, a weekly conversation with high-profile Hoosiers in business, sports, and entertainment, and beyond. Available now from your favorite podcast provider. I'm Alex Brown for Inside Indiana Business Radio on Demand.